Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to talk about social media tactics that actually work. So if you feel like you've tried a bunch of things in social media and you're not getting the results you like, you'll be relieved to finally get some real-world examples today and tips on this webinar. So this is what you're going to learn. You'll learn how to run social campaigns to boost engagement, how to promote your content effectively on social media without wasting too much time, how to stay organized even though managing social media is really chaotic, and best of all, how to get results from social media. My name is Kim Cooper and I'll be your host today. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Rignite. If you don't know what Rignite is, we're a software solution for managing social media. And I'll be giving you a few sneak peeks into the product today. But if you'd like to sign up for a more in-depth demo, you can do that with the link below the video here. Our guest speaker is Kim Walker. We're going to call her Kimmy K though, so we don't confuse you with the two Kims. But to be honest, I might have a hard time breaking that habit because I'm so used to calling her Kim. So I'd say the best way to tell us apart is that she's the one with the endearing Southern accent. So Kim is a really talented marketer. She runs an agency called Five Stones Media, and she has a ton of experience helping a wide variety of clients get results from social media marketing. She has a special focus on email plus social media, and she's actually agreed to share a really awesome ebook at the end of this webinar of tips on how to build your list, especially using social media. The hashtag for the webinar is social tips, so feel free to tweet us your thoughts and be sure to mention us at Rignite Inc. and Kimmy K. We'll also have some time at the end of the webinar to go over some questions, so feel free to post your questions in the box below as they come up, and we'll get to those at the end. So I'll hand it over to Kimmy K now. She'll give you a little bit of background on her agency, and she'll talk about some of the tactics that are working for her clients. And she's also going to share some of the tools she uses and how she uses them. So Kim, let me pass you the presenter role. Okay, you should have it.
All right, can you see me there?
Yep.
All right, excellent. Thanks so much, Kim, and thanks to Rignite for having me today. I am very excited to partner with them and share some of the things that we do here at Five Stones and kind of help everyone that's on the call to maximize their social media presence. So just to give you a little bit of background about Five Stones Media, you see there this photograph. We've actually already added some other people since we took this photo not long ago. But Five Stones Media, we're a marketing agency. We're based in Louisiana, and as Kim said, you recognize me from my my Southern accent, which I don't think I have one, so it's funny that she said that. And what we do here is really a vast array of services, including pretty much everything digital marketing to print and your more traditional marketing as well, but general website design, custom. We don't do templates or anything like that. It's all custom coded and designed here at Five Stones Media. We obviously are a social media management company. I do lots and lots of trainings, consultations, and then we do full management for a lot of clients. And most recently, in the past couple of years, we picked up political campaigns, which is an entirely different animal. We do search engine optimization, as you see written there, video work, email marketing, graphic design, and one of the newest people that's not in this photograph is a Google trusted photographer we've recently hired. So we are one of a very small group of people in the entire state of Louisiana who can basically create your Google business tours to go along with your Google listing, and that's kind of a virtual online tour of your business. It takes the street view into your business, so that's something we're really excited about being able to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and advance. If you are curious as to any more information about us here at Five Stones Media, I invite you to follow us on practically any social network you can find, and as well as our website, which is just fivestonesmedia.com. So having said that, I'm happy to kind of transition over from who we are to our relationship with Rignite. When we first started our business about 4 years ago, we were primarily a website and email marketing company. So when we picked up our first few social media clients, we were handling that quite well. Things were moving along really nicely. And then that very quickly became kind of the department, if you will, of our business that grew most quickly. We still do everything else. We do a lot of all those other services, but social media is the one where that team is the largest. I just hired, today is his first day, another social media manager, and so there's 5 of us handling social media now. And Facebook is great. It's very easy to manage. It has great analytics, but we found that with managing Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google+, which we're really not doing a lot more with that with their recent announcement. I think I missed one, Twitter, Pinterest. We just found that the way that we were handling the reporting back to our clients, analytics, all of that kind of information was not very efficient, and we really wanted to be more efficient with our time and obviously be more effective. And so we started the hunt for a software program that we could use to better manage our social media. So of course we had already been using Hootsuite. We checked out Buffer, we checked out Sprout Social. There were a couple of others that we looked at as well, and they all worked really well, but it seemed like everything was missing something. And lo and behold, I saw an ad in my my Facebook feed from this company with this cool name, Rignite, and I thought, what is that? So whatever the post was enough to pique my curiosity. So I took a look at Rignite and thought, this is something we really need to explore. So as my team and I got into it and really started looking at it, we really very quickly fell in love with all of the features that we got. So the things that we were looking for were analytics, in addition to what Facebook already had, but also for the other platforms as well. Definitely scheduling. We have also a wonderful relationship with our local university, Southeastern Louisiana University, and we have anywhere from 3 to 5 interns that work with us each semester. And I need to train them how to use Rignite, give them the tool that they need to handle that, have them schedule posts, do research, but I don't want their posts to go ahead and be posted. We want them to be able to pause them so that we can really look it over, train them further, make suggestions, and then release those posts. So that was something that we found with Rignite. And then being that we're partners with Constant Contact for email marketing, we absolutely love the customer service relationship that we have with them. There are other programs out there where it's really difficult, if not non-existent, to have a relationship and reach out if you need help or if you have questions. So we really wanted to have a platform where we could have access to that. And then, of course, someone that stays ahead of the curve and knows what's going on in the world of social media. So we got all of that, but we found that in addition to that, we love the fact that customer service became a relationship. I feel like I can really get through to someone at Rignite, and if I have a concern or if I have a question or just want to know, is this coming up in a future update? I just love the relationship that our entire team has with Rignite, the social media engagement we get from them, that sort of thing. We really, really, really fell very quickly in love with the campaign creation. I teach all the time that people need to move from the one post at a time more along to creating a campaign that comes back to a specific goal or objective and putting that together. So, for example, one of our clients is a restaurant that is created by a local farming company, and it's called the Salad Station. And so we wanted to create for this month, Cancer Awareness Month, we wanted to create a campaign of a series of posts about how eating salad is beneficial when you're fighting cancer, or even in preventing cancer. So we were able to work on putting that together. We really like the contest management because we're also using a variety of other tools in addition to Hootsuite, for example. So we like being able to do that all in one place. As I mentioned, I love that Rignite listens. They really like to find out what we're interested in, what we would like to see happen. The blog is great. The calendar feature, being able to see all of your posts at one time. There's just so much to it that's really helpful. So that's, when we got in, it didn't take long for us to say, this is home for us. This is what we really want to be using. And I have several, as I said, several managers in there who are all using this program. And it's been really great for us. So I want to share with you some of the tips that we've used ourselves and have found to be great. So the first one is regarding Facebook contest ideas. This actually is for Hammond Square, and I believe that Kim's going to show you more information about this specific contest campaign that we put together. But Hammond Square is a local shopping center, and we had reached, I believe it was 6,000 likes on the Facebook page. And so the property manager said, let's do a giveaway. And what we found working really well on this particular page is to just invite people to tag a friend in the comments. They would like the post. You can also do a fill in the blank. The fill in the blank one did very well as well. Our goal for this one was to have 300 entries. And the reason why we picked that as our goal is because I believe one of the ones we had done in the past, our goal was 150, and we exceeded that. So we said, well, let's bump it up a bit and move it up to 300, always trying to do better than we did in the past. So we were obviously very excited when we not only reached our goal, but far surpassed it with 439%. So that did really well for us. So when you're doing your Facebook contest, don't feel like you have to be roped into the same old thing over and over again. We really like doing the tag a friend, again, liking this post or filling in the blank. Also notice that the image that we use was really appealing. People really responded to that. And again, Kim's going to show you a few more as well. Keep in mind, when it comes to Facebook contests, you cannot incentivize someone for liking your page. This is not a like our page for a chance to win. This was like the post. So don't forget about that. You also don't want to ask people to tag themselves or friends in the picture. They need to tag a friend in the comments. Those are kind of Facebook no-nos. All right, so let's move on to the next one here, which is the concept that we really like to follow, which is the 50-30-20. I don't want to call it a rule, but it's kind of what we like to go by, especially with Facebook recently announcing, well, I'll say recently, back in January, they rolled out that you really need to start paying for your more promotional types of posts. So what we like to do is we kind of look at our content calendar and decide, okay, if we're doing 10 posts a week, 5 of those posts will be more entertaining, something that's going to pull on the emotional string of the fans of on your page, something that's going to make them laugh, cry, get them excited, motivated, it's inspired, make them angry. Sometimes that's a great way. I don't mean controversial, but just something to get people talking. Your goal with those 5 out of 10 posts per week is to really cause someone to want to like, comment, or share, to simply drive engagement. 30% of what you post, so again, if you're posting 10 times a week, then 3 of those posts would be something with a helpful hint or tip, something industry related, or some curated content. So if you are a real estate agent, you might find some great information on HGTV or on realtor.com, that maybe another realtor from another part of the country that's a great blogger. They might have some great information on maybe 5 tips for how to pick the best realtor for you. So that's 30% of what you're posting. And then 20% of what you're posting is more of your promotional, salesy but not salesy posts. So it's all about you, your special promotions, any new products you might have, posts to get people to join your email list. These are the things that Facebook's really gonna not reveal organically to a large number of people on your page that you might want to consider really need to be more along the lines of posts that you might pay to boost or something like that. So we really find that the 50-30-20 concept is very helpful, and I do want to give credit to Constant Contact for that. I'm an authorized local expert for them, and I go around teaching and putting on workshops and seminars, and this is something that Constant Contact really likes to share. That's where we got it from. We've tested it here with our clients, and we have found that this really has been a great guideline for us to follow. So the next slide is something that really came up here at Five Stones Media once again as we have grown very quickly. We're only 4 years old. We've moved 3 times. We started 4 years ago with my husband and our business partner kind of working from their kitchen table, just very small, and started out in a small business development center incubator program, and now have, I think, 12 people on our team. So as we've grown, we have found that we really need to streamline our processes. We really need to have tools in place that are designed to help us become, as I mentioned earlier, very efficient. So we found Rignite, and you've heard a little bit about Rignite. Kim's going to share more with you about how you can use their software. Bitrix 24 is a project management tool that we put in place after we tried probably 8 different ones. And we're still learning this, but our entire team has really taken ownership of this, and it's become an internal communication tool. It's become a CRM. It's become a place for us to assign tasks to different people and see how those tasks are coming along, and just become a great way for us to be able to manage our projects. Evernote has been just fantastic for us as far as when we're doing research for social media management and we find a great article, we can clip that article and save it into Evernote. When we're having client meetings, we can take notes that are stored within our client notebook, if you will. So Evernote's a great place to just keep yourself on task and keep information all in one place. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is Constant Contact. We are very, very fond of utilizing this service online for all of our email marketing. And as Kim mentioned, I'm going to share with you something at the end that has 60 tips for growing your email list. If you have any email marketing questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you. My contact information is coming up, I think, on the next slide, and Kim will have it as well. But we use Constant Contact on a daily basis for our own email marketing surveys. I just sent out a survey. We had a big event on Friday, so we created a survey within Constant Contact. We will be scheduling a series of posts within Rignite to invite people to click the link to take the survey. We use Rignite to get people to grow our email list, so that that goes straight into Constant Contact, where we can then follow up via email and stay in touch with people that are interested in what we have to offer. So it's not only an email marketing tool, but we can also utilize it for some social campaigns, like if we wanted to put out a coupon or a special offer, we can do that in Constant Contact as well. And then the last thing about Constant Contact, which I'm really excited Rignite has partnered with them, I guess you'd say, or has offered, which I'm sure that you'll see when you get in there, is the event marketing. So Constant Contact has a tool where you can create your event, promote your event through social media, through email marketing. People can register, and if they need to pay for your event, they can do all of that through Constant Contact. Rignite will connect to your event in Constant Contact and then allow you to put together a campaign to promote that event. So the two of them work really well together, and I just find that it's been a great marriage for us because we work really well with Rignite and Constant Contact. So those are the tips, or I should say tips, but also the tools that we really like to use here at Five Stones Media to really make ourselves and our entire team much more efficient and effective. So here is my final slide, just with my contact information. You can follow us on really any social network. Some of those are just my own personal, but that's our Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and we're kind of everywhere. So again, I just want to give a big thanks to Rignite and to Kim for having me, and I look forward to answering any questions. I see some are already coming in, and we will get to those shortly, but I am going to turn this back over to Kim so that she can take over here for me. All right.
Great,
Kim,
thank you. Can
get
you?
it back to you. You should have it now.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was really great and really helpful. I'm sure there's tons of tips that our listeners can take away and start putting to use right away. So that was awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to share 5 tips on social media tactics that work, and I'm going to start with my favorite one. This is scheduling lots of shares of your evergreen content. And the reason I love this tip is the fact that you put so much effort into creating content that it's a shame to really just share it once or twice right after you've published it. So what I like to do, and I'm going to pop over to Rignite and show you exactly how I do that every time we publish a blog post. What I do is I create a series of posts using our campaigns feature. And I'll set my campaign up to run for like 6 months or so that I'm getting traffic to that blog post for, well after the date that I published it. So basically you give your campaign a name and you select the social profiles that you want to promote that post on. You can set a duration. I usually do 6 months, as I just mentioned, but I'll just do a couple months to be speedy here. You put the link into the post that you want to promote. Let's see. And then we have this great feature which you can enable Google Analytics tracking parameters to the end of your link. So if you're doing a lot of tracking in Google Analytics, you'll probably be familiar with this source, medium, campaign parameters. And the cool thing about these with the double brackets here is that those are variables. So for each and every post that you schedule through this campaign, we're going to change that. So for example, when you post to Facebook, this will say Facebook. And when you post to Twitter, it'll say Twitter. Another one of the variables that's pretty useful is this post ID, because occasionally you'll see in your Google Analytics, you'll have a post ID that's coming through as being really successful at getting people to engage on your website. And being able to narrow that down to exactly the social post that did that is pretty helpful in understanding what's working and getting people to move from social media to your website. So you can customize this to your liking. So then in the next step, you create your base messages. So basically, because I selected Twitter and Facebook, you'll see both a Twitter and Facebook here. But for each one, you can do 3 messages. So let me just paste in. Here's my second message. And then the same goes for Facebook. I won't do all 3 messages, but you can do 3 there as well. So this step is the one that I love showing people because it shows you how powerful campaigns can be. And it kind of speaks to what Kim was mentioning earlier about moving away from a single posting and instead focusing on doing series of posts. So you can set a frequency differently for Twitter than for Facebook. For Twitter, I usually do 4 times per week during the campaign. And then for Facebook, because things move much more quickly on Twitter, for Facebook, I'll do something like 3 to 4 times during the campaign. So, for example, if you're doing 3 times during a 6-month campaign, that'll be every other month, which is more than enough space to put between your posts. Plus, if you remember back into the last step, we created 3 different messages. So what happens, I'll click Save and Next, is we fill up the calendar with all those posts. We take the 3 base messages for each network that you did and we rotate through them. So you'll see here's one post, here's the next one, and the next one. So we take your frequency and just rotate through that and fill up the calendar. So within just a few clicks, you could potentially have hundreds of posts scheduled to promote that single piece of content. So you can also, edit this to your liking, delete posts, add posts, however you like to do it. But it's a really quick and easy way to make sure you're scheduling tons of shares of your content to make sure you keep getting visits to that post. So tip number 2 is to rally engagement with giveaways and contests. And Kim spoke about that. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that very same campaign she mentioned because I really loved that example. I thought, Kim does amazing on all of her campaigns, but this one was a good example to pull out and show you. So here's what I loved about it. First of all, her call to action was really simple. It was just like the post. And kind of like she mentioned earlier, it's a liking of the post, not the page. It's a very, very small ask to put on your followers. And so because it's so simple and easy, you'll collect tons and tons of engagement this way. The other thing that was really great is that she had 3 winners who each would get a $60 gift card. And having 3 winners, the reason why that is compelling to people is that it just increases the odds that they could be a winner. Sometimes if it's just one winner, people who, might assume that too many people are going to enter, it's not worth it. So having more than one can really increase your entries. The other thing that Kim's team always does really well is they use amazing imagery. So if you see this image in your newsfeed, you're going to take notice because it's so eye-catching. So that's a really great tip, and she does that really well. So I would say my favorite thing about this campaign is the fact that she used a series of posts. So here's one image, and then here's another post that was promoting the very same giveaway, and another one. So this is the list of all the posts that she had scheduled. You see it ran from the 15th through the 30th. So every couple of days she was posting another post, all related to the very same giveaway. And you see in post number 1, she got around, let's just say 250 entries, which is really great. That's a pretty amazing success rate, I would say. But it's really the fact that she had 6 posts, each of them collecting from 200 to 300 likes, that really made this campaign super successful and made sure she got it into the news feeds of the majority of her followers. So this is a chart showing the number of entries. So you see that she exceeded her goal by day 3, which was pretty amazing, but then she just totally blew it out of the water because of the fact that she ran this campaign over the course of 2 weeks. So she ended up with, around 1,500 likes, which is pretty amazing. And then here are just some more metrics on that campaign. It's the engagement by day, campaign reach. So now I'll just pop over to Rignite and I'll show you the difference in this campaign that she used versus the schedule a series of posts that I showed you earlier. So here's a little draft I created of her campaign. So again, you just give it a name, select which social profiles you're going to run it on, and give it a date range. But then this is where it gets different. Here's where you specify how you want people to enter. So for Kim, she chose fans must like your Facebook post to enter. Another option would be fans must comment on your Facebook post. So she also mentioned another type of campaign where you could, tag your friend in the comment. So in that case, you would probably choose fans must comment on your post to enter. But for this example, it's like your post. So what happens is basically we will collect all the people who entered into a single list. And so this is what makes using Rignite to run this type of campaign, really easy, because of the fact that she used 6 to 7 posts in order to promote this campaign. It would be such a hassle for her to go in and sort of search for needles in the haystack through her Facebook feed to find the posts that she was using for this campaign, find all the people who liked each and every one of those posts, and then notify them. So with Rignite, it just shows you one single list. You can randomly select the winner, or you can hand select the three winners and then let us notify people and have them collect their prize. So it turns a really simple yet effective campaign into something that's super easy to run that could be a hassle if you're doing it straight through Facebook. So tip number 3 is to stay organized. There's so many things that you have to do when you're managing social media that it's easy to just get caught up in the details. So my first recommendation to you is to first decide exactly what you want to do on social media. If you chase every shiny tactic that people are out there talking about, you'll just spin around in circles and get nowhere. So this graphic here, it's basically to show you that you should always align your activities back to your business goals. So for example, let's just say your business goal is to increase awareness. So you might want to set a social media goal to grow your following and then boost engagement to help you reach that goal. And the social media activities you do to target those goals would be run some campaigns, share a bunch of content that's really useful that will make people want to follow you, and then monitor for people who are engaging with you and be responsive back to them. So once you know what you want to do, it's a good idea to map out your roles and responsibilities. And this, you might look like it applies only to a large team, but it really does apply even to a single person team. So just think of it as, one person wearing multiple hats, or if you are lucky enough to have a team, to be able to break up the different tasks and have people help you out. So for example, a community manager would be the person to do the monitoring and responding, or possibly assigning it if it's not something that they could respond to. They'd also be the person to manage the posting schedule. And then you'd have a content creator who writes posts and curates content. And then a subject matter expert who'd be basically the person who really knows your business. And they will be the one to respond to high priority cases that the community manager finds. And they might also be the person to approve content. And then you'd have the campaign manager. They would be responsible for coming up with great ideas for campaigns and sort of managing the nuts and bolts of those, making those campaigns run and getting them done. And that would require some collaborating with the community manager and the content creator to make sure that they get all the collateral they need and make sure they're not scheduling posts that have, having conflicts in their post schedule. So let's pop over to Rignite and just talk about the scheduling calendar and how it helps you stay organized when it comes to keeping a clean schedule of posts. So I would say this is one of the features that our users really love the most, and I think it's because it's so user-friendly. For example, you can see everything you have scheduled. You can click on each post to get a little preview of what's going out, see who created it, see which campaign it's a part of. You can drag and drop to edit it. But I would say one of the greatest features here is the filter ability. So if you're like Kim and you have an agency full of a ton of clients, this view is going to get really crazy. So you can go over here to filter and you can say, just show me my client A's posts. Since I don't have a client, that actually won't do much. So I'll just show you filtering by Facebook. So once you set your filters, you'll get a much simpler, cleaner view of just what you want to focus on. And then when you do that, you can export it and you'll get just the posts that are in this view. So if you need to send posts off to a client or to a manager for approval, this would be a great way to do that. Another thing I should mention, this is actually a fairly new feature, is that you can now import posts. So if you want to do your scheduling by preparing an Excel file full of, a month's worth of posts, you can do that and then just upload it directly into Rignite. So that's one way to stay organized. So tip number 4 is don't drop the ball on responses. So I like to break social media monitoring into 2 categories. One is proactive, and that is where you go out and you search for keywords of people talking about, something that is relevant to your business or your industry, and then you try to strike up conversations with them. But then there's also reactive monitoring, and to me, that's the bare minimum that you have to do. You have to be reactive to anybody who's trying to talk with you. So here's an example in Rignite. We've got a tab called My Communities. And basically, when you create that tab, you can connect any social account that you have connected in Rignite. So for example, let's say I want to look at all of Rignite's profiles in one single stream. I would go through, add Twitter, Facebook, Google+. So I can add all of these social profiles. And then when I click OK, I'm going to get one single stream here that has anybody who's talking to those social profiles. So here's an example actually of Kim's team. They shared a blog post about how they use us and a few other tools. And so, we can catch that immediately and make sure that we reply directly to her posts. Or another thing we can do is assign it to a team member. So for example, you see this one has already been assigned. Here's another example where someone has shared our ebook. And, that's great that they shared our ebook. We want to encourage that kind of behavior. And so we love to respond to people like that. So, let's say that Madeline is the person who wrote this ebook. I might want to just assign it to her by clicking assign. And then I could type her a note saying, why she should check out this post. So I might just say, hey, they're talking about your ebook. Maybe it's a good idea to respond. And so when I assign it to her, she'll get notified and she'll be able to go straight into Rignite and immediately reply. So this is a really great way to make sure you don't drop the ball. You respond to everybody who's engaging with you and really, capture that low-hanging fruit. So tip number 5 is to measure and adjust your strategy. And that kind of goes without saying. I think most people know that it's good to sort of watch the progress that you're making on social media. But I'll show you what my favorite metrics are. So of course, it's always good to watch your overall growth. But to me, the more actionable metrics are to understand how people are responding to what you're posting. So this chart here, it shows you your posts, but it also shows you the likes and retweets by your post. So it's a good way to sort of get a relative sense of what's the reaction you're getting to what you're posting. If you're getting if you're not posting a lot, well, then you're probably not going to get a lot of likes and retweets. So it's just a good way to know the return on your efforts. And then one of my other favorite reports is to compare campaigns to each other. So, earlier I showed you how I use campaigns to promote content. And so I can look here, I've got all these blog campaigns that I'm running, and I can see that this one seems to be more successful than the others in terms of reach on Twitter and in terms of short clicks. So I can pretty much come to the conclusion that this content really, really resonates with our audience. So maybe we should either share it more, or maybe we should create a post that's similar, the best times to post on Twitter as opposed to Facebook. But it's a great insight into what's working and what's not to help you sort of drive what you do going forward. And Kim mentioned that she likes to follow the 50-30-20 rule. I think another good way to follow that rule and track the progress of it is to schedule those content types, sort of bucket them by campaign. So you might do in her promotional category, you might do, sign up for our email list as a campaign so that you can measure the results of that against other campaigns in that general category of being promotional. So it's a good way to just compare apples to apples. So that's pretty much it for my tips. I hope that you've enjoyed everything we've shared with you today, and I hope you found some good action items that you can take away and immediately put to use. If you want to try Rignite, I definitely encourage you to sign up and give it a try. Maybe you can do a campaign like Kim's Hammond Square campaign. You can do that at rignite.com/sign up. Also, you can always, if you have any questions, just send us an email to socialize@rignite.com. And looks like we've got a handful of questions. So, Kim, are you ready to take some questions?
Yeah, I am. Let's go.
All right. So, Janice is asking, can I ask fans to like my Facebook page and comment on the post to enter my contest? I think you sort of touched on that, but maybe you just want to help her understand why that's a no-no.
Yeah, so Facebook has been really very on top of what their rules and guidelines are, especially within the past maybe year or so. When we first started using Facebook for contests and that sort of thing, it was originally really relaxed, and then they came up with a lot of different rules, and then they changed it again. So one, you have to stay on top of it because you do run the risk of them noticing that you're not following their guidelines, and they can block you from your page, or they could even deactivate your page, which could obviously be a big problem. So they do not want you to incentivize someone or say, like my page for a chance to win, because what they have found, and here's the reason, is when people like your page because they want to win something, they're not necessarily liking your page because of the content that you're going to be putting out. And then they'll end up unliking your page, and you end up really not, you might have a lot of people that like your page but not really engaging with the content that you're posting, because the original reason why they liked your page was to possibly win something. So they really want you to tap into the people that already like your page. They've already said, hey, I like what you're doing, and that way you can encourage them to like the post as opposed to the page.
Great answer. Okay, so next one is from Trevor. He says, what's a good way to find content that I can post to my social networks?
You know, that's without a doubt probably the biggest or most often question we find that comes from both our clients as well as people that take our classes is, either I don't have the time or I don't know what to write. And so content is a big, big deal. And we work with our clients on developing content from, most importantly, the things that work the best is what's happening inside your business. What are the frequently asked questions that your clients have for you? What's happening as far as new product launches, or did your team go out to lunch? That's content. It's showing what your culture is at your business. If you're a member of a professional organization, then that professional organization probably has a blog. They probably have content. Think about the people that are leaders in your industry. I don't mean local competition or someone that literally could handle your clients as well, but there are other people, our partners, if you will, in your industry that you can share what we refer to as curated content. It's content that already exists. Also, don't forget, if you're a local business, about what's happening in your community. Are there fundraisers for local organizations that you can share? Did you sponsor something? Those are great places to start to find that content.
Do you have any suggestions for, this is just my own personal question, do you have any suggestions for tools for curating content?
There's really a lot of them out there. We tend to try to stick to the ones that are specific to a particular industry or your local area. So there's not one that's jumping out right at the top of my mind right now, but I could certainly send you some, Kim, that you could then share with the attendees. I'm thinking of journals that are specific to your industry, magazines,
Mhm.
news articles, that sort of thing. But for the most part, we try to stick to the industry that just to keep that information very relevant.
That makes sense. Okay, so this next one is perfect for you. It's from Lacey, and she says, I'm a business owner. Should I hire an agency to do my social media or try to do it myself?
Well, so yeah, we're an agency, so of course I'm going to say, yeah, hire us. But if you, number one, have the time, and two, you have the know-how, then I think it's probably always best that you do it yourself. Um, for a bunch of reasons. One, you need to make sure that the voice that's coming through that screen is yours. So when we take over social media management for one of our clients, we spend a great deal of time in discovery mode, getting to know that client, their culture, who their clients are, what the voice of the company is, which is just part of your branding. And so when that has been done, then we're able to properly manage and respond like you were saying. You don't want to drop the ball on that. So if I'm responding to you through social media and then you walk into my business and you meet me and you're like, you seem very different than your business seems online. So voice is really important. And that's why I say, that's one big reason why I say that you really want to try to manage it yourself. However, having said that, we do find um, very, very often that when people realize what it really truly takes to manage social media, they don't have the time for it. And we liken it or compare it to your CPA, to your landscaper, to all of those other businesses that you outsource because you either A, don't have the time to do it, or you don't know how. And so when that's the situation, we find that our clients are really happy to have us handle that for them. But it is a very close relationship that gets formed and requires really some buy-in to staying in touch and communicating with your social media manager that's taking care of your presence online.
Mhm. There's a huge learning curve too. So for a business owner who doesn't really know social media, because that's not the main thing that they spend their time on, it can be really beneficial to have an agency who just kind of guides them and teaches them. And so even working in a collaborative way could be beneficial to small businesses who just don't want to spend that time learning it and managing it.
Absolutely. We find that most of the time people, when they are interested in it, they think, oh, you're just posting on Facebook.
Hmm.
And there's so much more to it than that. There's lots and lots of research. There's a great deal of um, results-oriented campaigns that get put together, and then obviously the oversight, the monitoring, the responding, and then the analyzing to see what worked, what didn't work, what can we tweak, what can we keep doing because it's working. So there's definitely a lot that goes into it.
Definitely. Okay, so we'll take two more questions. Jake is saying, is there any way to tell if all my social posts are increasing visits to my website?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you're asking that question because so many people forget about this really important part. We create a great website and you put it up there, but then you don't monitor how it's doing. So Google Analytics is very critical to making sure that you are being successful. Google Analytics is free. There's no charge for that. You just go in, you create the account, get it connected to your page. There's code you'll need to put on it. It's really not complicated, but then you can easily log in and see how that's working. So we recently did that. I mean, we do it all the time, but one specific thing that jumps out for us is a blog that I wrote, actually. I'm on the Alumni Association Board of Directors for the local university here that I attended. And here in Louisiana, we are really struggling with higher education cuts quite dramatically. And I wrote a blog just very passionately from my heart about the effects of our local university receiving the huge budget cuts that they were going to receive. And I was trying to encourage people to join what we call the ROAR network, where you can find out what's going on and how you can help, and encouraging people to reach out to their legislators and tell them what they want them to vote for or against. And so when I created this blog, I put it out there. I posted it several times. I think I did that through Rignite, I'm pretty sure. And using Google Analytics, we were able to see that the amount of traffic that came to our website because of that blog was really quite mind-boggling. And again, partnering that with Rignite to look at the statistics was very beneficial. So I feel like you really need to partner your social media with Google Analytics and see not only how many people are coming to your website, but what are they doing when they get there? How long are they staying on your website? What other pages are they going to once they come into your site? So it's really critical to utilize Google Analytics for that.
Yeah, that could probably be a topic for a whole nother webinar.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question from Trish. How can I collect email addresses from social media?
Well, so glad you asked that question as well, because one of the takeaways you're going to get is 60 tips for growing your email list that I have given to Kim to share with you. Of course, that's through Constant Contact. And to get people to join your email list, there's several different ways to do that. So with Constant Contact, there's an app that can be built into your Facebook page so that people can join your email list without ever leaving Facebook, for example. But we love it's kind of just part of our process when we take on a new client is creating, as we've mentioned earlier and Kim has mentioned, is we like to go into Rignite and create a campaign, a series of posts, even over the next year, so that it posts maybe once a month on Facebook, and it would maybe do 2 times a month through Twitter over the course of a year with different types of messaging to encourage people to join your email list. So then we can see not only in Constant Contact how many people have joined the email list, but through the campaign results in the dashboard of Rignite, how that's doing as well. Then again, you can also run a contest campaign based off of people joining your email list. And then there are just different opportunities when you're responding to posts, when you're responding to questions and that sort of thing, is you always have a link to the join my email list. So when people ask a question and you're in that conversation with them, you can always post that link to say, oh, well, you must have missed that promotion that we sent out. Click here to join our email list. And then one other little tip that I like to do is if we have an email campaign that's coming out, let's say today at 2 p.m., that email is going to go out at 2 p.m., then we will post before the email goes out, and we'll say a very I was going to say hot topic, but 5 tips for how to pick the best realtor, whatever it might be. That's probably not the best example. But we'll kind of give them a teaser to let them know, hey, we've got an email with a special promotion hitting inboxes at 2 p.m. Click here to join our email list to make sure that you get that. So that's another way that we do that as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll have to put that one to use myself. I haven't done that. So the ebook that Kim mentioned, you should see a link below the video frame for this webinar right now. So if you want to get that ebook immediately, you can do that. I'll also send out an email to people who attended. So you can also find it in that email. So with that being said, I just want to thank you so much, Kim. It was really great having you on the webinar. And I also want to congratulate you on all of the growth in your new hire. That's really exciting to hear.
Thank you. We're really excited.
Awesome. So that is it. Thank you, everyone, for attending. All right.